Hello everybody, welcome to the program today. I'm Mitch Carson here in the Middletown Area High School, and the Middletown Area High School is beginning a new era. I am here with the new principal of Middletown Area High School, Mr. Christopher Sattele. It's great to be here.
Thanks for having me, Mitch. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It is my pleasure. And so, what a drive you've been on here in Middletown. Like, you started out at the old Feeser building.
Yeah.
And then at the middle school where you were a teacher, and then an assistant principal, then a principal, and even before you came here to the high school, you were the basketball coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's
for a number of years.
Yeah, it's been a crazy run. I started here in 2002. I spent my first year teaching at Manheim Central in alternative education. I was fortunate enough to come here with Dr. Eppinger, and that was at the old Feeser Middle School, which was a great experience. We moved into the beautiful Feeser, or the new middle school, and yeah, I've just kind of been progressing my way through. I've been very fortunate to be a part of the Middletown family.
So you've been here at Middletown since 2002.
Yes.
Said. And when you started, like, were you excited, like, to be in a new school district? Were you nervous, like, of how, like, this is gonna be, or?
Yeah, I think I was nervous. I knew who Middletown was, or what Middletown was, and what they were about, and I knew that they were well known for their sports. I knew that they were well known for their academics and just a great community. So I was excited to be a part of it. I think my hope was that people would let me be a part of the Middletown family. So I've always tried to look at it from that perspective, I should say, and say this is what I want to do, and this is kind of what I'm looking forward to.
And when you started at Feeser, you were a social studies teacher, and then you carried on.
Correct.
With that in middle school. I know, like, you, back when the new middle school opened and the old Feeser building was demolished, and I know, like, as all teachers would be excited about going into a new building, and did you guys, like, carry, like, the same pride that you did at
Absolutely.
and moved it on?
I think anyone that has gone through Middletown that went into that building, George W. Feeser was a historic place to be, and Middletown does have that great sense of pride, and we did take it with us to that new building. If you walk through the halls of that building, there's a lot of tradition, a lot of people that have been here through the Russ Eppinger era, Kevin Cook era. So yeah, we definitely continued that tradition.
But I remember my 6th grade year, Dr. Eppinger passed away, and I remember they named the auditorium there after him.
Absolutely, he was a great role model. I did my internship with him to become a principal. He was very, very stern. He was very, very organized, and he wanted things done a certain way, so I always appreciated him for that. And it's an honor to have that auditorium named after him, and it was an honor to, sit in the same seat that he sat in for so many years.
And so, like, you looked at him and thinking, like, when I'm in this position, what I need to do, like for myself, for the school, and for the kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the one thing that Dr. Eppinger really kind of showed everyone is he wanted to make sure that kids were a priority. He wanted to make sure that you were scholars first, and then he also really appreciated and loved student athletes. So that was sort of his foundation, and I kind of, found myself drawn to that, and I always want to see kids be successful, whether it's in the classroom or whether it's in sports or just in general, whatever they do. We want them to be the most successful. So absolutely, he was a huge role.
And so when, and I know when Dr. Eppinger stepped down, Kevin Cook then became the principal, and I know when I was with you, when I was in middle school, I know, like, you and Mr. Cook were good friends. Like,
Absolutely.
and did you also, like, look at him of what
he
did?
Yeah, he was definitely a mentor, and again, he came up through the ranks of Dr. Eppinger and Dennis Etsy, who is another Middletown legend, and sort of they would talk about those stories, and they would talk about how the district was run and how there was such a great sense of pride and community, and that's what they wanted Middletown to be known for. So Kevin was a tremendous asset to me. I spent a lot of time with him. Mrs. Mosteller was also an assistant principal there. I got to spend time with her. She's brilliant in terms of curriculum and just her relationships with kids. So, I had some great mentors, and I got to know Coach Etsy through Coach Myers. It was happy for me to be able to put a face with a name. Like, there's been so much great tradition here, including with Mike Carnes. I mean, Mike was a graduate here. He was a phenomenal leader here, and I'm the next guy in line, and I'm hoping not to let any of those people down.
And I remember Mr. Carnes actually started at the middle school.
Correct.
In the guidance.
We started together. Mr. Carnes and I came in our first years together here at Middletown. He had come from the probation world, and I was coming from alternative ed, and we hit it off right away. He's a big baseball fan. I'm a big baseball fan. We both like the Phillies. I think the first year we were teaching together, we went down to a Phillies game and kind of hit it off. So very fortunate.
Wow. And I know this, long before you even came here to the high school, you coached the boys basketball team at the high school.
Yeah, from 2008 to 2018, spent 10 years, wouldn't trade it for the world, had great relationships, had some really good teams. Our 2017 team
Yeah, I remember that.
went to the district finals and we lost, but then we went to the state, Eastern semis 2 years in a row and played against a nationally ranked team and had some really great players. And it's fun watching those guys now.
Yeah.
Some of them graduated, and others are finishing their last year, so they're growing up.
I remember that 2017, that was my senior year,
Mm-hmm.
and both our football and basketball teams went far. The one thing I remember from that year was when I remember the game. It was right towards the end, and you guys were on the verge of losing, but then you guys came back and you ended up winning.
Yep.
And then there was a picture of you.
Yeah,
you were so excited. And
I was running around. Yeah, it was great. Ryan hit a shot at the buzzer, and I'm a big kid, and I was excited, and I just started running around, and I believe it was Donnie Graham who recently passed away. I believe he's the one that took the picture, and he sent it to me. He said, "You look like a maniac," and I said, "I do," but I was excited, so it was a lot of fun.
I remember since I was involved with WMSS, and you thanked WMSS for covering everything you actually gave us.
Oh, absolutely.
That
WMSS is such a tremendous asset to our school, and it helps young men like you and young ladies to pursue that. And John Wilsbach's great, so I always appreciated the fact that you guys covered our events.
And then once basketball rolled down for you, and when you were still at the middle school teaching, did you ever think you would end up being in a position where you were going from a teacher to an administrator?
I never anticipated it. In fact, when they approached me about it, I didn't want to give up coaching. I just wanted to continue coaching and stay in the classroom. And as opportunities kind of arose and people talked to me about how I wanted my career to go, I thought maybe it would be a good idea. But I was very fortunate that Dr. Susky gave me the opportunity to coach and be an administrator, because not a lot of schools do that. So I was very, very fortunate with that. And then when I became a principal, things kind of just happened to get to that point. And now I'm very happy with the decision I made. I never thought I'd be here. And I talked to my buddies from high school, and they say, "You're a high school principal." We were the guys that were only there for lunch. We were the guys that were there for sports. We just liked hanging out. We weren't really into school, so to speak. But I think sometimes that helps me relate to a wide range of kids, because not everyone loves school for the academic piece.
Right. And and the one thing I remember with you, my 6th grade year, I actually had you for social studies, and that was your last full year as a teacher. 'Cause I remember my 7th grade year, you became the assistant principal. So did you think this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my time here, be the assistant principal? Or did you think, okay, this is one step closer to hopefully becoming the main principal?
Right. So at that point in time, I was perfectly fine with being the assistant principal. I liked that role. I loved working with Mr. Cook. I loved working with our teachers. There's great teachers at the middle school. They're some of the best around. So I enjoyed doing it. And then obviously when this opportunity came up, I was kind of surprised that Mr. Carnes was leaving, Dr. Carnes now.
Right.
And I thought, how can I best serve the kids in the community? And I thought this would be a great opportunity, because I just love being around what school represents, and I love being around Middletown kids. They're the best. I mean, they really are. And I just feel like this is a good spot for me to be in. And this transition has not been difficult, because so many people are willing to help me out. And that's the one thing about Middletown folks, is they're willing to help everybody as long as you work hard.
And I know just this previous year, I know Mr. Cook got a new position, I believe, with the Radio Academy program.
Correct.
And then you became the principal at the middle school, and Earl Bright was the assistant principal then. So did you were you wow, now I'm actually a principal and I can run this and set my vision.
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
school.
And that's a big thing. Like every leader is a little bit different. Everyone kind of approaches things in a different way, and there's no right or wrong answer to being a good administrator. This the biggest thing I've always looked at, and I've told faculty and staff this on a regular basis. What's the most important thing for the kids? Like that's the decisions that I make. So before I make any decision, I look at it and say, how's it going to affect this kid individually, and how's it going to affect the culture of what we're doing? And that's sort of just always been my philosophy.
And so you always thought like what's best for the teachers, what's best for the school, and what's best for the kids.
Absolutely. And you got to look at it and really, Middletown does a great job with that. I mean, we really support our kids. There's a lot of safety nets in place. We want them to be successful. Sometimes kids don't see it in the moment, and maybe you were that way in high school where a teacher said you got to do X, Y, and Z and you didn't agree with it. But 99.9% of the time, the teachers have the best interest of the student in mind. And that's kind of what we have to do as well. I know some people think about principals, they're, wearing a suit and tie all the time, they're never smiling. That's not what we're about now. Like we're about getting out there and being with kids and just having everyone be excited to be here, just to create a welcoming environment. But more importantly, we want kids to have fun. But fun's not always ha-ha. Fun sometimes is working hard in a classroom. Fun sometimes having to study 2 or 3 hours for a test. But at the end of the day, we want kids to have a great experience while they're here.
All right. And so with you coming here to high school, you compare, and even though you haven't really did a principal role here at the high school yet, but for this upcoming year, do you know any differences that are going to be coming to you, and also some similarities from doing it from the middle school and now you're at the high school?
I think the biggest thing obviously is the maturity. Middle school kids, ages 12 to 14, and you come to the high school. I think that's one nice aspect. I've always enjoyed the conversations with my players, or when I come back up and I see people such as yourself in the hallways or even in the community, just able to talk to them. So that piece is definitely different. Getting to know graduation requirements, making sure that kids have the right classes, career pathways is different. But for the most part, school's school, and there's rules and regulations, and we've got to kind of deal with those, but we know that it's going to be a change because there's so many different pieces now here at the high school with the new assistant principal and new athletic director. We're just looking forward to putting our stamp on things and just making the Middletown Area High School the best that it can be.
All right. And so are you guys always looking not definitely living in the present, but also looking to the future, thinking we did so well with this, you think we can do well with it a year from now, and then even 5 years from
Yes.
now?
So really you try to put a plan together, and you look at 3 to 5 years is what it takes to kind of get things moving in the direction that we want it to. Obviously a big thing is always going to be student achievement. How are kids doing academically? So what we look at basically are 3 facets. Academically, how do we improve? Behaviorally, what are we doing to help our kids and the outcomes every single day? And then socially, how do we meet kids' needs socially? Those are the biggest things. So our 3 to 5 year plan is basically looking at how we can create better outcomes academically, behaviorally, and socially. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to doing.
And I know I would definitely say, and a lot of other people would say, that was definitely put to the test in March of last year and this school year, especially when the pandemic hit.
Yeah, it was just crazy.
We know the pandemic changed
Everything. And I think I give a credit to our teachers, because if you would have told them in March of 2020 that they would do what they did all the way through March of 2021, I don't think any of them thought they could have done it. And they did it, and they met that expectation, and they rose above it. But then the other thing too is I give our kids credit. That was hard. That was not easy to do.
Yeah.
And I think we don't give kids enough credit sometimes. They're really resilient and they can figure things out, and they did a great job. I think parents had more of a hard time with the whole schooling as opposed to the kids, but I was really impressed with how everyone handled it. I think Dr. Susky did a great job getting us back into school, making sure everyone was safe. But at the end of the day, it was a weird year.
Oh yeah, I remember it was definitely a weird feeling for me, not being in the classroom,
Yeah.
and seeing everybody on a little computer screen.
It was different. Yeah, it was definitely different.
Yeah, and do you think so? You're definitely welcoming the challenge here.
Yeah.
And so you do say do you think this is going to be a good year, and this is going to be a good thing for the school indefinitely?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got a lot of exciting things coming. Like I mentioned, Mr. Brooks, our new assistant principal, has a lot of experience in the high school. He's going to be wonderful. Mr. Governor, new athletic director coming to us from Hershey. He's been thrown right into the mix with a brand new turf stadium project. And we're transitioning between Dr. Susky and Dr. Hunter, and we're going to get through that transition. And I know once we get the start of the school year, we dedicate the new stadium, we get everyone back into somewhat of a normal routine. I think everyone's going to have a big exhale and be like, okay, we can finally get back to what we used to think was normal. But there's a new norm. Like,
right.
Things have changed, and there's going to be certain rules and regulations that we got to follow. But for the most part, I think everyone's excited to get started with, with the school year.
Yeah, and I know Middletown, like, things like with you being the new principal, like, this is a really comfortable fit. Like, you've been here, like, with the district since 2002, and you started out, like, as a teacher, then at Feaster, and then, which went over to the new middle school, and then you became the assistant principal at the middle school for a number of years. And then you were the principal at the middle school for a year, and the basketball coach here for 10 years. So, and I think people know like what you can bring.
I think the one thing I've always tried to do is I try to be real. I try to be honest. We always had a good time in my classroom. That was something I always liked. I always tried to build relationships. So what you see from me is what you're getting. I love to laugh. I love to have a good time. I believe in working hard and playing hard. And I love Middletown. My wife and I, before we had children, looked at houses in Middletown. We thought we were going to come here. And we ended up moving back to Palmyra, where she's originally from, where I'm from as well. And, I consider myself a Middletown kid, and now a Middletown adult. And I hope people understand and appreciate that my heart bleeds blue and gold. I really do love this place. And I'm looking forward to this challenge. I'm really excited about it.
Well, Mr. Sattele, I know myself and everybody here wishes you the best of luck for
Mitch, I appreciate that.
School year, and in the years to come as you're in your new position as principal at Middletown.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate you having me on. You do a great job with your show. I absolutely love watching it, from Coach Bradford to Dr. Carnes to anyone you get on. So keep doing a great job.
Thank you. And I'm Mitch Carson here with Christopher Sattele. Thanks for watching.